Shashi Tharoor, thank you very much for joining me on India Today. You've written this new book, Why I Am a Hindu, and there will be those who will look at the book and say, the timing of it. Is this part of the Congress's attempt to reclaim Hinduism? Rahul Gandhi going temple hopping in Gujarat, now planning to go on a mutt run in Karnataka. Is the Congress trying to break the monopoly of the BJP over Hinduism, which is why you've written this book now?
Well, partly that's true, except that the book was almost entirely written before the Gujarat election campaign even began, so it's not as if it's some sort of synchronized thing. It just happens that it's come out right now. The truth is that indeed we should reclaim Hinduism, because the Hinduism that the BJP is laying claim to is a Hinduism, frankly, of intolerance, of bigotry, of Gaur Rakshaks and Ghar Wapasi and love jihad campaigns and bashing people over the head and mob lynchings. That is not the Hinduism that I believe in, that I grew up in, that most Hindus I know cherish and value. We should indeed reclaim for ourselves a Hinduism of acceptance, of pluralism, of embracing difference, which is the Hinduism taught to us since the days of Swami Vivekananda at the very least.
But there is a sense that the Congress is desperately trying to shed the image of being seen as pro-Muslim, which is reportedly what the Antony report said a few years ago, and be seen as less anti-Hindu, which is why Rahul Gandhi has gone on these temple runs, which is why Shashi Tharoor, ahead of general elections in 2019, is trying to define his Hinduism as distinct from the Hinduism practiced by Narendra Modi and the BJP.
True. I mean, it's a bit bizarre for us to be called anti-Hindu when we are Hindu. To begin with, a majority of Indians are Hindus and a majority of congressmen, therefore, are also Hindus, but they're not the kind of Hindus that the Hindutva movement lays claim to. We should not, it seems to me, play into the BJP's hands by letting them portray the big debate about the idea of India as being a debate between godless secularists and Hindus. It's actually also a debate within Hinduism, between one kind of Hindu and another. And we believe that we are the better kind of Hindu because our Hinduism is actually fully compatible with the Constitution, with living together in a pluralist democracy, whereas theirs is not.
But surely it's much more than going on temple visits. Surely there is much more to this great philosophical religion than going to temples. And there will be the criticism that this is photo ops, and you can never really compete with the BJP, which wears its religiosity on its sleeve.
Listen, the fact is that temple visits are one thing. The ideas and spiritual roots of this book are another. There are various other ways in which the practice of Hinduism is carried out in our country that actually will reflect, it seems to me, on the kinds of values the Congress Party has always stood for. Visiting temples is merely one aspect of Hinduism. A temple is certainly an important place for a Hindu, but you'll find many Congress politicians will also go with respect to mosques and churches. That's a way of showing respect for a faith. Ultimately, it's the way you live and the values you practice and the beliefs you have that actually reflect your religious outlook on the world. And the question is that an outlook that is compatible with working along with people of other faiths and other opinions?
No, because you mentioned the Congress Party's vision, in a sense, of Hinduism. There will be those who will say for the longest time the Congress Party has been burdened by the notion of Nehruvian secularism, where politicians were a little skeptical of openly identifying in public with any religion, which is why now Rahul Gandhi is trying to take the Congress out of that Nehruvian secularism trap and redefine, in a sense, the Congress's vision of secularism. And so is Shashi Tharoor in this book.
Sure, Rajdeep, because, you know, by actually being sort of good Hindus in private and keeping it concealed from the public, we were essentially ceding space for the BJP to argue that they are the only representatives of the Hindus, which they're not. They, in fact, represent an odd, rather distorted perspective on Hinduism, very different from the Hinduism preached by Swami Vivekananda, by Adi Shankara, by Mahatma Gandhi, by the texts and tenets of our faith, which do not, in fact, conform at all to the Hindutva taught by Savarkar, Golwalkar, and others. And so, to my mind, what's important here is to say, within the Hindu faith, we disagree with what you Hindutva types are doing to our religion, and instead of keeping our disagreement quiet, we're now telling you openly, our Hinduism is a different and a better way of being Hindu.
What's the big difference? What's the big difference between the Congress's vision of Hinduism and the BJP's vision of Hinduism?
Well, let me say the big difference between the two sets of Hindus is encapsulated in Swami Vivekananda's excellent statement in Chicago that Hinduism teaches you not just tolerance, but acceptance. Tolerance is a very patronizing idea. It says, I have the truth, you are in error, but I will magnanimously indulge you in the right to be wrong. Whereas acceptance says, I believe I have the truth, you believe you have the truth, I will respect your truth, please respect my truth. The Congress says if we respect each other in this way, if we accept each other in this way, we will have a harmonious, plural society and a democracy. That's what we're here to defend.
It's interesting you're quoting Swami Vivekananda because the BJP sees Swami Vivekananda as a Hindu nationalist icon.
Except that they don't apparently read him well enough. I have deliberately quoted him at length in my book so that we have his own words in defense of the Hinduism I'm describing. Similarly, I've quoted Savarkar, Golwalkar, Deen Dayal Upadhyay extensively in their own words. I don't want to distort what they stand for, the way in which many in the BJP will seek to distort what I stand for. Let us judge people by what they themselves have written.
It's interesting because when you now put almost Swami Vivekananda within a pantheon of Congress role models on how, on Hinduism, there will be those who will turn around in editorial comments and possibly reactions to your book saying Shashi Tharoor is practicing a brand of soft Hindutva, which can never really take on the hard Hindutva.
No, actually, the Hindu revival that Swami Vivekananda talked about was a revival very much compatible with a multi-ethnic, multi-religious country. The Hindu revival these people are talking about, while hanging it, if you like, on the hook of Swami Vivekananda's name, is an intolerant one that excludes others, that wants to reduce this wonderful democracy, this pluralist country of ours, into a Hindu Rashtra for just one kind of person. That is a fundamental battle. That is the idea of India. But it's not just a battle between secularists and true Hindus. On the contrary, it's a battle between true Hindus and wrong-minded Hindus.
So therefore, let me ask you in conclusion, are we saying that the Congress will go well beyond these temple visits in this election year to actually frontally challenge the BJP's vision of Hinduism and Hindutva as represented by Savarkar, Golwalkar? Today there are Gaurakshaks. Tomorrow, with the Ayodhya issue coming up in the courts, possibly the Ram temple issue will be reignited. Will you all frontally challenge all those issues, or will you get worried of that will we be caught between at one level pandering to Muslim fundamentalists, at the other level being soft on Hindu fundamentalists?
No, in fact, let me stress first of all, I'm not a spokesman of the Congress party. I'm one Congress MP amongst many, and others may have a different view. But in my view, and certainly in my own campaigning, I will have never pandered to Hindu fundamentalism, as you call it.
Or Muslim fundamentalism.
The phrase is wrong. Or Muslim fundamentalism.
Because this, in the 1980s, whether it was the Shah Banu case where the Congress was seen to have surrendered to Muslim fundamentalists, or in allowing a Shilanyas in Ayodhya where you surrendered to Hindu fundamentalists, the Congress's track record has been to run with the secular hare and hunt with the communal hound. Will that change?
Rajiv, I'm writing and speaking to you today as an author of a book.
Yes.
I have a paper trail over 3 decades long of books and writings, and I believe I've been consistent throughout. I was critical of the Shah Banu decision. I was critical equally of the Ram Janmabhoomi movement. I was critical of the Babri Masjid as a Hindu. I have stood up and made speeches before audiences in which people had come to heckle me, assuming I was going to describe myself as a godless secularist. I said, no, as a Hindu, I believe you let us down. You let Hindus down by what you've done.
So will this be
my
the
view is
Congress's philosophy? I know you're an individual in the Congress, but you are the head of the All India Professional Congress. You're seen as the leading public intellectual. I'm trying to understand, is the Congress's philosophy now going to be a frontal challenge to political Hindutva and a distancing from all forms of extremities and embracing the Vivekananda vision of acceptance and pluralism?
I believe it's going to be a very important component of our outlook on the world, because we certainly continue to oppose extremism, we continue to oppose bigotry, we continue to oppose the sort of narrow-minded Hindutva, but at the same time we're not ashamed to admit who we are. Whether we're Hindu, Muslim or Christian, we can be proud of what we are, and at the same time want to serve a country in which all have a place and which all must flourish and prosper.
Shashi Tharoor, thank you very much for giving us a sense of what lies ahead in this general election year, and also a peep into your new book. Thanks very much.